The cash-strapped ANC has revealed that it will cost 1 million rand for a seat next to its president at tonight's gala dinner. It comes as the party struggles to pay staff salaries in recent months. Tonight's fundraising event precedes the ANC's National Electoral Conference, which kicks off tomorrow. Newzroom Afrika's Ziyanda Ngcobo is live for us from Nazareth. In a moment, we'll also be hearing from Lukhanyo, Calata, who's a politics editor. Ziyanda, let me kick it off with you. So we know that generally businesses, they end up spending a lot of money just to be able to be part of a gala dinner like this tonight. But what's in it for them? What's the benefit of parting with millions?
I suppose they could moan about the current load-shedding situation, which you would have heard from the PBF's Sipho Mbele earlier, saying that the energy crisis is something that's top of mind. But there are several programs as well over the coming days. They'll be meeting with the Small Business Minister Abrahams, as well as the Finance Minister Enoch Godongwane, as well as Gwede Mantashe, who you'll know is also the Energy Minister, wondering if he'll still be National Chair by the time he has those engagements on Sunday. But also usually this evening is a light-hearted moment. You get to see a more relaxed president speaking to the business community, which he'll likely be comfortable around, seeing that he has been in the private sector before taking up this job of being president of the Republic of the country. And this is probably going to be one of the softest parts of what's going to take place over the next couple of days. Already there's talk about last-minute caucus meetings that are taking place away from this venue. And I tell you what, Kathy, something that's very worth reflecting on right now is the heightened levels of security. Literally, you have to be escorted by police officers to wherever you're going. So just to go, from example, from where our studio is to come to this part of Nazareth, you need to be escorted. That's also not something that you would have had in previous conferences, perhaps at policy conference, but it just tells you about the high-stakes game. So for this evening, though, it would seem that the business community will be able to raise, their concerns about what's happening in the country and what the governing party plans to do about it.
Ziyanda, have the prices been pumped up compared to what it cost previously? I say this because one gets the impression the ANC has been trying to make money from wherever they can in as far as this conference is concerned. And, of course, the media also not excluded from that, with the conversation around media having to pay for access to certain spaces.
I mean, when it comes to the media part of it, it's actually quite shocking that the governing party would even make such a suggestion, because it would set a bad precedent for the country, especially seeing that, this would mean that even other parties, if they wanted to have a media briefing, they could ask us to pay because they've booked out a hotel to have that particular briefing. But, Kathy, we're just going to pull our camera off so we can try and speak to Banyaza Lusufi as soon as he's done with other interviews, because he's someone who's been quite vocal today as well, insofar as the influx of pupils into the province, which has also raised the ire of many delegates, some saying that his comments have got to do with the backdoor shenanigans and the fights that are taking place between different provinces, in particular the Eastern Cape and Gauteng. But yes, let's go back to your question about money. The media, they tried that. There was a pushback in that regard, but also remembering that the members of the ANC and the NEC who are deployed to the government, in particular those who are ministers and deputy ministers, have been told to fork out money. I think the last time I checked, it's around 6,000 rand to assist with the woes of the organization. So the situation is dire, and the position of Treasurer General, which seems to be the one that's most up for grabs and the least pinned down insofar as candidates, is going to be very crucial for the organization going forward.
All right. Ziyanda, we'll give you a minute, then we'll come back to you as soon as you've got Banyaza Lusufi ready. Let me come to studio with Lukhanyo Calata. So, Lukhanyo, tomorrow, of course, is the big day. Today, in terms of this gala dinner, what the president said will very much set the tone for what we can expect over the next couple of days.
Pretty much, Kathy. You know, I'm actually quite pleased that we are here. I think all of our planning and everything that we've done to get to this point, now I think there's a little bit of nerves left, just for us to, let's just get on with it already. Let's start it, and let's see what the president is going to say. I think obviously he comes into this National Elective Conference under a bit of pressure, and that's putting it mildly. I mean, yes, he's been able to kick the Palapala matter down the road, but it continues to hang over his head. Today, for instance, just this afternoon, there was an urgent court bid that was dismissed. There was the matter of Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who the ANC has, now started disciplinary processes against. So there's a lot going on in the African National Congress at the start of this conference, and it's going to be fascinating, for us to not only be there, but to also try to bring that to our audience and to our viewers.
Last night, Tony Ngeni told us that there would be a final NEC meeting today ahead of tomorrow's conference, and that part of that meeting, at least as far as they're concerned, they would want to look into the Palapala matter. Do you think that this is going to be an issue that is carried over, particularly into how conversations are had at conference? Not necessarily that the issue itself may come up, but certainly it has the tendency of aligning people along certain lines.
Yes, it will, Kathy. Remember, Palapala is almost like a shambok that the president's detractors can now whip him with. Because remember, the president comes in and as this, this corruption buster, this guy that wants to clean up, and is talking about clean governance and talking about renewal within the ANC and all of that. So now his detractors say, but hold on, because all of those stuff that you are talking about, it just proves, Palapala proves that, you're a hypocrite, because you're saying do as I say, but not do as I do. So yes, Palapala is going to continue to be an issue for the president to deal with. And at conference, remember, the report of the Integrity Commission on Palapala has been shifted, has, said, no, let conference deal with that. And for his detractors, I don't want to say, for the other faction, but I'm just going to say for the president's detractors, Palapala is that issue that they can definitely use to whip him with. And it gives them, a leverage over him.
How difficult do you think the conversation around the establishment of the electoral committee is going to be? Because we've seen a great deal of dissatisfaction with how it has handled its work. Of course, there are those that, who say they were nominated, got more votes than what they say they got. There's been the issue of the NEC positions, the disqualifications. Tony Ngeni, again, last night was very upset with how things had been handled and said the work of that committee needs to be brought to conference, deliberated, so that it can be the one that decides, so that conference can decide how it will conduct itself going forward.
Kathy, the Electoral Committee of the ANC is a new committee. It was only established at the 2017 conference. So now, this is the first time that the Electoral Committee actually then gets, has work to do. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I mean, you understand, every time you set up any new entity, you're likely to have teething problems. And I think that's really an issue that I'm sure that delegates will try to say, okay, how do we make this thing function the best that it possibly can? Yes, yeah. I just want to make this one point, Kathy. It has very successfully dealt with the issue of slates, though, and ending those slates, this electoral committee.
All right, well, we'll wait and see what exactly, if that will be the case, of course, based on the voting that will come out of this conference. Let's take you back to Ziyanda Ngcobo, who is out at that gala dinner of the ANC tonight. Ziyanda?
Yeah, I've got the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi smiling, jovial, not quite the mood, maybe with the caucuses as they organize themselves. Premier, what is the expectation with this kind of gathering? There are a lot of problems faced by this country. Yesterday we got confirmation of Andre de Ruyter's resignation, but I mean just within your scope in Gauteng, a very important gathering.
It is. We are taking the angle of the economic opportunities, to be quite frank. this is a major, major economic boost to our province, especially immediately after the effects of COVID. So we need to gather ourselves and start to open our economy. So to have more than 4,000 people visiting our province and extra 15,000 just as that will be around Gauteng and descending here, we really believe is a huge, huge economic boost. And hopefully it will open the doors for people to get jobs. It will also open the doors for investment opportunities and interaction with those that are coming here. We've got international guests. We also have political parties that are coming outside the country. So we'll exchange ideas. But this is a major, major economic boost from the Gauteng point of view.
From the side of security, I mean, this is highly securitized, and we've seen this throughout the conferences. Even when you were elected as Gauteng chair, it just seems to be escalating, Premier. What's all of that about?
Well, maybe it summarizes the times that we are in. You don't have to leave things to chance. And this being the spotlight of the country, it will be really embarrassing if there can be security breaches. But I agree with you, the security is quite tight, and there might be obvious reasons why some of the security arrangements have been imposed.
It might not be so obvious to someone watching at home.
Well, you know, we're hosting international guests. We're also hosting important people that are going to be part of this particular conference. So you'd rather be safe rather than regret later.
You're also the face and the leader of the Gauteng ANC, which has thrown its weight behind a second term for President Cyril Ramaphosa, Deputy President Paul Mashatile, but there have been some cracks that have shown. How divisive do you think certain issues will be at this conference, in particular Palapala, which has now been deferred to conference for discussion, and the issue of disciplinary action against, senior members such as Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma?
For now, let's keep it for the dinner. Our delegates are coming later. We just had our PGC yesterday. We summed up some key recommendations, policy recommendations, and we'll then interact with them. We're interacting with other provinces. I think after we've dealt with those serious lobby and serious persuasion, we'll be in a position to come back to you. But for now, let's celebrate the Gala dinner and welcome all the people that are coming to our province and ensure that they leave the dollar here so that we can create opportunities. And
hopefully you won't be stuffed under mattresses, Premier. I'll let you go for now. I'll see you on the conference floor. Of course, the 55th National Conference kicking off tomorrow. Not quite the moment, I think, to push him, given the fact that we know just how much his caucuses are continuing as we speak. It's probably an explanation for why, some leaders of the ANC aren't even here yet. This program is meant to kick off at 6 o'clock, but plenty of issues to discuss, probably going to be divisive. And like I said, the conference floor is where the debate will be taking place.
Ziyanda, thankfully, I've never known any of these gala dinners to start on time, so looks like we're right on track, if history is anything to go by. Ziyanda Ngcobo will be covering the rest of that dinner for us. Do stay tuned for more on Newzroom Afrika. Well, let me wrap it up then with politics editor Lukhanyo Calata. So, Lukhanyo, let's talk about then what we're expecting on day one.
All right, well, tomorrow morning we expect the president, hopefully he sticks to time. And then at about 9:15, we do expect him to then open the conference and deliver what the ANC refers to as the political report in an open session. So we as the media, we will be there. We will be able to bring that to our audiences live. And then there will be, after that, there will be a closed session, which obviously to allow the organization to deliver the organizational report as well as the Treasurer General's finance report. So we won't be privy to those discussions. And then much later in the day, Kathy, at about 9:30, 10 o'clock, that will be an open session. And then we will be allowed in because that's when they will deal with the issue of nominations from the floor. For additional for additional nominations, and then they will vote for the positions of the top 6. So that's what we expect on day one, which is tomorrow, and then 24 hours later, that's when they will announce. So on Saturday evening, that's when they'll announce those positions and the results of those elections for the top 6. So tomorrow really just the opening, as well as obviously very, very key, those nominations from the floor, which should be very, very interesting.
All right, so it promises to be a rather long day then, but you can expect full coverage of what's unfolding there from our team that will be out at Nasrec over the next couple of days.